Science background. Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
Everything there, but we just- Yeah.
Just moved here, so I think we probably.
Is it?
Shoes. Everybody has to share.
Yeah, come in. Anywhere you can stand.
But it makes me feel welcome. Spoken word, that's- What's your name? You were looking at me like that.
Reciprocated. Oh, but I have your copy from you gave me last week, so it's still in mine. You killed Justin because he's not.
Well, then I'll knock on the door.
You did?
Yeah.
He's in, but he's still spinning. That's the media.
And I go this way, right?
Yeah, the opposite.
Oh, what am I doing?
I don't know.
Slide over a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
Jonathan, how you doing?
It in?
For tonight.
Evening, Darcy.
Evening. How are you?
Good, very good. Had a little day at the beach last Thursday when it was 70 degrees, no wind. I got my lawn chair out, sat on the beach, got my Cuban cigar out, sat there for 2 hours and just had a little nap. It was good.
Nice.
The boy was there with me and
It's perfect.
nothing like the beach to calm. My son's out, well, you know, he's speaking.
Mhm.
He just changes when he goes to the beach. It just mellows out. He just sat there with me. He slept. Full agenda. Never does.
Mhm.
So it was a good day. Went to the aquarium.
Excellent.
Okay. Where's Scott and Rod?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, it's 5:30 and we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody, to the June 26, 2023 regular city council meeting. And item 2 on the agenda is our roll call. I would ask our city clerk or our assistant to the city manager to please call the roll.
Counselor Long,
Present.
Counselor McLaughlin,
I'm present.
Counselor Runyon, Counselor Randall. On Zoom. Counselor Richardson
Present.
and Mayor Mays.
Present. I'd like to point out that Councilor Randall is on Zoom, so welcome to everyone here. Item 3 is a pledge of allegiance. I'd like to ask Councilor Darcy Long to please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4 is approval of the agenda. We do have one addition. We're going to be adding is it an ordinance? Fireworks, a resolution regarding fireworks later in the agenda will be item 10C. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Yeah, well, police commendation has also been removed, but police promotion is still on the agenda. So item 5B is still on the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll move to approve the amended or agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Aye.
carries. Item 5. This is really a special night for the Dalles because I have the honor and privilege of recognizing a very special group of girls here tonight. On a personal level, I happen to attend about 6 of the games myself. And even if you wouldn't have won the state championship, I was really blown away with your spirit, your teamwork, and the way you all seem to get along on the field and off the field. I was really very gratified by that. Just a few words about the team itself. Tri-Valley Conference champions. Of course, you're the 2023 OSAA 4A state champions. You also were the OSAA Academic All-State Softball team. You all had a combined average of 3.72. I also want to point out that when Council President Tim McLaughlin and I were in high school, we achieved around a 3.72 average. Of course, you had to add our two averages together to get the 3.72. Good. So they also hit 70 home runs, smashing the previous record by 17. The previous record was 53 in 2017, and you guys hit 70 home runs. So what I'd like to do tonight is first introduce the head coach, Lindy McNabb, who will make some brief remarks about the team. And then we're going to call all the girls up. We have something to give each of you. I know you got something at the school board meeting the other night. I think ours are much classier, much better than what you got. So we have a nice medallion and a certificate of recognition. So with that, Coach McNabb, you want to come forward? Use the microphone.
Testing. Good evening, ladies. Thanks for coming out today. I first want to thank Mayor Mays and the city, everybody involved in this meeting and everyone who thought about us to celebrate us. My deepest appreciation for your recognition. Thank you so much for thinking of us. The community involvement this year was like I've never seen in the history of softball in this area. For me, that was my biggest accomplishment as a coach, to see how many people were interested in seeing what these girls could do on the field. So thank you for everyone who supported us this season. I just look forward to seasons to come, see what happens. Girls, all of you are remarkable athletes. It was an honor to coach you. Like Mayor May said, 70 home runs I've never seen anything like this. I know I keep saying that, but I've never seen anything like this. So I look forward to seeing what the years have to come with all y'all. And all of a sudden I'm in Southern accent. Anyway, I am so proud of everything that you accomplished this year. I hope more than anything that it was a season that you'll never forget. And having moments like this where the community is celebrating you is something that I hope you never forget as well, because it's kind of a special thing. So thank you so much. So we shall read.
We'll start with the coaches, and then freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and then the 3 special seniors.
Yeah, Lyndon McNabb, varsity head coach. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's the-
Oh, those are beautiful. Wow. Jamie is home. Brooke Smith. Thank you, Brooke. You're amazing. Ryan LeBreton. Thank you so much, Ryan, for everything this year. Dave McBride, who's also home as well. Dwayne Witter. Thank you so much, Dwayne. Dave Jones. Dave doesn't like this type of thing, but he deserves recognition for his role supporting our team and tending to maintenance needs. Whatever we needed, he was the go-to guy. So really appreciate you for supporting us this year, Dave. Freshman outfielder Ava Graves. She's at a travel tournament, I believe. Freshman infielder Aislinn Rubio. Thank you, Aislinn. Freshman catcher infielder Haley Johnston. Thank you, Haley. Freshman outfielder Abril Rincon. And she is not here. Girls are at travel tournament, so. And other obligations, vacations. Freshman catcher outfielder Madeline Sagapolitelli. She is at a travel tournament on her way to Colorado. Sophomore outfielder Lacey Hoyleman. Nice job, Lacey. Sophomore first baseman Sydney Newby. Sophomore second baseman Maddie Brock. Yes, and our sophomore designated player / power hitter / pitcher, Despina Seu Falemua. Junior outfielder Farrah Cardona. Junior left fielder Kalia Crichton Tunai. Junior third baseman Kiliani Crichton Tunai. Junior shortstop / catcher Zoe LeBreton. Junior catcher outfielder Jaylani Stewart.
I just gotta say this about Jelani. I think every time I attended a game, she hit a home run. And I got to thinking, you're the leadoff hitter. Yeah, leadoff hitters don't hit home runs. It's singles, walks, doubles once in a while. So you never gave Zoe and Despina a chance to hit him. But I just thought I'd bring that up. That's it.
Senior outfielder Lillian Schatz. Senior center fielder who's also on vacation, Ellis Smith. I hope she's here. Senior pitcher Kennedy Abbas. She was going to be here. Yeah, I will. I'll take all of those. Again, I really appreciate all of this recognition, and these are wonderful gifts. And like I said, my hope is that this is a memory you all never forget.
You want a picture of us?
Everybody,
The whole team? Okay.
I'll send it off to the media
Everybody front and center.
and the coaches. Hiding. You wind up in front of these guys, they don't need to see that.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. And right here.
I texted Tom.
There, block me. There we go. Now we got it. Mhm. I know.
Let me just close by reading the certificate. What it says, this certificate is presented in recognition of many accomplishments and record-breaking season of the Dallas High School 2023 varsity softball team. We are proud of your many accomplishments this year, including being the 2023 OSAA 4A state champions, the 2023 Tri-Valley Conference champions, the 2023 academic all-state softball team with a combined GPA of 3.72, and for breaking the all-time Oregon high school record for accruing 70 home runs in a single season. On behalf of the city council and the citizens of the Dalles, please accept our congratulations. Once again, thank you all very much. Also, we know some of you have some extracurricular activities you may want to get to, and we're not going to be insulted if you don't want to stick around and hear all about our insurance premiums and our purchase of 3,000 acres in the watershed. Okay, but if you have to leave, we understand. Don't worry about it.
Mayor Mays, may I say something?
Oh, sorry. Can you hang on? I think some of the counselors may want to have a few words.
Right. Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I just wanted to say that I'm really proud of you girls. And I used to be on the Dallas High School softball team as well. And so, you know, right now, many of you are involved in a lot of other extracurricular activities. But even if you're not, this experience that you've had and the good and the bad is really going to come back and help you later in life. And I know everybody's probably saying that to you, but when you get to be an adult, look back on it and you'll remember how strong you felt during this time. You can be that strong in the world too and make a difference in your community. Thank you.
Anybody else? Nope. Okay. Thank you all.
Good job, guys.
There's some tall girls on that.
Okay, item 5B is calling Chief Worthy with a special guest tonight. Come forward.
Working? Okay, great. Mayor Mays, members of the council, it's my pleasure to introduce to the city council and the city of the Dalles, our newest police sergeant, Sergeant Tyler Caldwell, here to my right. Sergeant Caldwell has been with the Dalles Police Department since August of 2015. Sergeant Caldwell was interviewed by a panel of myself and Captain Carrico with our partners from Wasco County Sheriff's Department, Sergeant Hall, as well as Cindy Miller from the school district, who's also a key partner of ours at the police department. We interviewed a total of 5 candidates, 5 exceptional candidates for possible promotion, and each of them answered multiple questions and presented documents for review and scoring during the process. And each sergeant candidate performed admirably and made me proud to be part of such a high-functioning organization and professional organization. They all brought elements and skills and abilities forth that would aid us in our continued efforts at community policing and the safety of the city of the Dalles. And there was consensus that every candidate could do the job, and that is a very strong position to be in for an organization. We're fortunate to have people here in the police department that are willing to step up and lead and brave enough to take the risk to undergo the promotional process while knowing that there was only one possible promotion available at the time. Ultimately, the panel scored 1 candidate highest, and there's agreement among the management staff team at the Dalles Police Department that Sergeant Caldwell brings the experience, aptitude, leadership, and the skills that best meet our needs at the police department. Sergeant Caldwell has proven himself to be highly motivated, responsible, and accountable, and he has a true desire to lead, mentor, and teach our new officers, of which there are many. His experience as a training officer and the association president has gained him the trust of the officers and the management team alike. Please congratulate Sergeant Caldwell and support Sergeant Caldwell in his new role. And I'm elated to have him on the management team. Normally, this is where I'd hand you your new sergeant's badge, but he got pressed straight into service on Graveyard. So congratulations, I guess.
Well, thank you, Chief Worthy. It is definitely an honor to be promoted into this position, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to further serve my department and my community, my city. And I just want to thank you all for being here today. So thank you.
Would you like to introduce your junior officer there?
Yes, this is my youngest son, Kellen. He's 11 years old and he's in full-fledged summer right now. So he's enjoying life.
Right.
Want to
Thank
say
you.
anything? No? Okay.
Congratulations. Okay, item 6, audience participation. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject which does not later appear on the agenda. Up to 5 minutes per person will be allowed. Citizens may ask questions with the understanding that the city can either answer the question tonight or refer that question to the appropriate staff member who will get back to you within a reasonable amount of time. If a response by the city is requested, the speaker will be referred to the city manager for further action. The issue may appear on a future meeting agenda for city council consideration. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the city council for up to 5 minutes on any item that's not on the agenda? Ms. Hamada, come forward. Please state your name, your address, spell it if you need. I don't think you need to spell it, but please take note that we have a clock on the screen behind me in front of you, and it will tell you how much of the 5 minutes you have left. And I'll try to remind you if you need it when you have 20 seconds left.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Janet Hamada, and I'm here representing the Next Door Incorporated, which is located at 1113 Kelly Avenue in the Dalles. And I'm here to read a letter that is signed by 28 organizations that are part of the Gorge Health Equity Coalition. To the Dalles City Council As members of the Gorge Health Equity Collaborative, we are reaching out to express our support for Mid-Columbia Community Action Council, the Mid-Columbia Houseless Collaborative, and the Mid-Columbia Housing Authority in their work to expand affordable housing options for the community. The Gorge Health Equity Collaborative is a group of community partners representing local health and social service organizations, along with additional agencies and organizations from other sectors. We meet monthly to work toward our mission, which is to convene partners, develop and share resources, and lead organizations towards equity. We recognize that housing is a fundamental building block that all people need to live healthy and productive lives. Housing is also a critical social determinant of health. We are all aware of the affordable housing crisis in our region, and we understand that we need more housing of all types to ensure that everyone in our community has a safe and stable place to live. Issues of housing are issues of equity because everyone deserves a safe place to call home, and because the housing crisis has created disproportionate barriers for communities of color and for other traditionally under-resourced communities. We commend the City of the Dalles for highlighting the need for attainable, affordable housing options as a watershed opportunity in your 2040 Vision Action Plan. We encourage the City Council to support the projects and actions of Mid-Columbia Community Action, the Mid-Columbia Houseless Collaborative, and the Mid-Columbia Housing Authority, because these agencies are working hard to expand attainable, affordable housing options that are so needed by our community and that the City of the Dalles has identified as a top priority. We want you to know that there are many organizations and individuals in the Dalles, in Wasco County, and throughout the region that stand in strong support of Mid-Columbia Community Action, the Mid-Columbia Housing Collaborative, and Mid-Columbia Housing Authority. And we, the members of the Gorge Health Equity Collaborative, are among them. So in gratitude for your service to the community, members of the Gorge Health Equity Collaborative who signed on to this letter include the Next Door Incorporated, Jenny England of the Columbia Gorge Health Council, the Gorge Grown Food Network, Mid-Columbia Medical Center, actually before the merger with Adventist, One Community Health, Mid-Columbia Center for Living, Columbia Gorge Community College, Small Business Development Center at the Columbia Gorge Community College, Yesenia Castro with Culture Seed, Pat Sublett of the Columbia Gorge Education Service District, Shelley Campbell of North Central Public Health District, Hood River County Health Department, Klickitat Valley Health, Washington Gorge Action Programs, Columbia River Gorge Commission, Oregon State University Extension, Hood River and Wasco County, Energy Trust of Oregon, Saldivar Insurance, People for People, Lorena Sprague and Associates, Support Cultivation LLC, Healthy Gorge Initiative, Calibri Consulting, Dr. Robert Gobo of Providence Hood River Family Medicine Residency, CPR in the Gorge LLC, Pastor Tyler Bean Kelly of Zion Lutheran Church, Patricia Cooper Ortega, and Steve White. So that's 28 individuals and organizations that have signed this letter in support of your 2040 Vision Action Plan and affordable housing in the Dalles. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have a copy of that letter? Can you? Thank you very much, Janet. Is there anyone else who would like to address the City Council for up to 5 minutes on any item that's not on the agenda? Last call. Okay, thank you very much. Item 7 is the City Manager's Report. Mr. Klebs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few updates tonight. I have a little bit longer of a report than I'm going to work off of here, but I wanted to start by giving an update on our ordinance review and efforts around supporting individuals experiencing houselessness, as well as mitigating some of the impacts felt by our community and other business owners that have come to our attention. The City Attorney's Office has completed a review of city ordinances to ensure they meet the quote, objectively reasonable standards as imposed by state law by the July 1st deadline, and there is no further action for us to take at this time. This deadline was to make sure that our ordinances complied with that metric. It doesn't prevent us from passing new ordinances. It's just that the July 1st deadline, we have to meet that criteria, and any future ordinances do as well. As directed by City Council, we've also been reviewing and developing potential discussion points and action items to bring to the Council for consideration related to nuisance crime and other community impacts. We're looking at the second meeting in July to bring back some of those items for your consideration and potential action. They include ordinance proposals, city property administration and management proposals, staff resource and partnership opportunities as well. We've also begun efforts to better establish information sharing and mechanisms that allow us to update that information on different projects and tools undertaken by the city, as well as our partnering agencies. We can place some of this information on our city website to better communicate projects and efforts in the community, as well as solicit information and data from community members that can help us to better guide the allocation of city resources and city staff. Under Mid-Columbia Community Action Council, a Wasco County specific task force met for the first time on June 20th, I think just last week. The next meeting will be held in July. The prior unhoused task force organized by yourself will disband and merge with this group. And I plan to attend along with the mayor, I'm assuming, as well as our chief of police. This group will work on and advocate for many of the items detailed under MCAC's strategic plan, which the council had prioritized in the council goal setting session last fall. If you need another copy of their strategic plan, I can certainly scan and send you an updated one for your reference. I also hope that this will be a good group to vet and stress test some of the ideas and potential action and discussion items to bring back to the council. So it'll be a good group to meet with. I had a meeting with the Household Hazardous Waste Steering Committee. We also had a great Q-Life board meeting where we brought on a consultant to assist us with our strategic planning efforts and evaluating some of the different opportunities before Q-Life, as well as changes to our business model and some of the staffing and other resources needed to execute under that new model. As the chief mentioned, we had a promotion. We also hired a new entry-level police officer last week, and we have 2 candidates in background. We have 1 active reserve officer, but we do have an officer departing. I think his last day is tomorrow. We've also started conducting interviews for our AmeriCorps Rare volunteer, who would hopefully start this September. We'll finish up with those on Wednesday. And finally, the community outreach team is also meeting tomorrow. This is the group that, as many of you know, brings different projects and policies that are supported by our community to DC for support. But we've also really recently started to discuss and engage more closely with some of the state legislatures that we have here, both Olympia and Salem. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have, but that's my report for this evening.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager? Okay, item 8 is council reports. We'll start with Councilor Randall.
Thank you, Mayor Mays. Nothing to report this evening. Can you hear me?
Scott, we're having trouble hearing you. Why don't we go? I'm going to go to Councilor Richardson and then we'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
Councilor Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor Mayers. First of all, a couple of brief comments. Thank you, City Manager Klebs. Yes, please do send at least to me the updated strategic plan from CAC. I think that'd be helpful to me. And just a comment on the community outreach team looking to build maybe more active or stronger relationships with our state legislatures. I strongly support that. I think that's a really good and will be a productive area of relationship building. Mr. Mays, on a couple of recent activities that I engaged with on Tuesday, I participated in the KODL coffee break with yourself and Elwin. Thought that was a fruitful conversation. Also Tuesday, I attended the inaugural, sorry, I'm looking for my agenda here, inaugural or kickoff meeting for the new Homeless Houseless Collaborative Committee. Also Tuesday, I attended the Urban Renewal Board meeting. I'll let the Urban Renewal Board chairperson speak to that. And Thursday, I had a meeting with City Manager Klebs.
Thank you. Councilor Long.
Thank you. So on June 20th, we did have our urban renewal meeting, as Counselor Richardson mentioned, and Counselor McLaughlin is also on that with me. We awarded a contract to demolish the Tony's building. So you'll be seeing some fencing going up and that building coming down. It's very exciting. And we signed an intergovernmental agreement for the Mill Creek Greenway Segment 2 with Parks and Recreation. So that will be getting underway. And we did contribute money to that as well, 190,000, I believe. And then we had a presentation on our urban renewal and how that works. And so if anybody is interested in those details, you can go to the last part of the recording, which is on the website and also on the city's YouTube channel. And you can get some information about how our urban renewal works. It was a pretty good presentation put together by Joshua Chandler, our director. The final note on urban renewal is that we are still looking for one more community member for our board. And that person needs to either live, work, or own a building downtown. If you're interested, you can contact myself, the mayor, or Director Chandler in the planning department. I met with the city manager on the 22nd. We covered quite a few topics. Community action team or community outreach team is tomorrow, but I did also want to mention that in two weeks on July 11th, we're going to have a congressional and state house field tour where people from those offices are going to come, and we're going to show them some actual boots on the ground projects that we've been talking to them about, so they can really get a sense of that. Particularly those from the congressional offices. They are from other states. They're not for our own state, even though they're working for our state legislators. So they really don't know what we're talking about, especially when we're talking about the Dalles having an airport in Washington. That's very confusing to them. And the final thing that I just wanted to note is I just want to comment on the passing of Mark Gibson. He's been such an important part of our community and for such a long time and impacted so many people. And I just wanted to give a nod out to the work that he did and wish the best for his family. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McLaughlin.
Well, I did attend the urban renewal meeting last Tuesday. I had a drive around with Chief Worthy, scenic drive in the short-term rental area and around our city. Thank you very much. Meeting with our city manager last week. I have been meeting with residents located in the scenic drive, West 20th. And I also contacted the property owner to see if we could find some commonality, some common ground. And that was by phone. And I'd too like to mention a person of note, a longtime resident, Theron Keller. And I attended his service last Saturday, and it was wonderful. He's a good man. That's my report for this week.
Thank you. Counselor Randall, are you able to?
Testing my microphone here.
No,
Can you hear me now?
we don't.
It's worth noting we can hear him on Zoom.
It sort
I
of
think the
looks like
speakers
his
will.
microphone is lighting up. Maybe our volume is down.
Needs to reboot, log back in.
I think he's gonna.
Can you hear me
Okay,
now?
we'll come back to you, Counselor Randall, maybe after the before the action items. As far as my report goes, I attended the District 21 School Board meeting on the 15th. I also attended my annual visit with the Springs Nursing Home Father's Day breakfast and the aforementioned interview on KODL radio with Counselor Richardson and myself. Okay, item 9, consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda tonight. First is the approval of the June 12th council minutes. Second is a resolution concurring with my recommendation of Whitney Walker to the City Beautification Committee. And third is a resolution assessing property for the costs of nuisance abatements. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
McLaughlin will second it.
It's been moved by Counselor Long and seconded by Counselor McLaughlin to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10A is watershed land purchase. Our Director of Public Works, Mr. Dave Anderson. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. The council's received information on a couple of previous meetings about the opportunity to purchase some privately owned land located in and adjacent to the Dallas Municipal Watershed. At our most recent discussion on the topic, which was October 24th, 2022, council authorized a letter of understanding with Lupin Forest LLC and a conservation fund to secure funding for approximately 3,445 acres of watershed property. The LOU, or the letter of understanding, indicated an intent to complete a cooperative purchase of that property. Excuse me. And that letter of understanding has been executed. The Conservation Fund is using that LOU in an effort to secure funding from the U.S. Forest Service Forest Legacy Program, which would cover 75% of the cost of the property purchase. The estimated value of the property, while we haven't yet completed formal appraisals, the estimated value of the purchase would be $2.7 million. And if we get the grant would provide 75%, as I mentioned, $2,025,000 of that, with about $675,000 to come from the city. At the same time that Conservation Fund's been working to secure the funding, staff's been working with them to develop an option agreement, which will outline the legal details of the purchase. That option agreement is for you tonight for consideration. And under its terms, the city would pay $1 to Lupin Forest LLC to secure an option to purchase the property sometime between now and December 15th, 2026. During that time, the property would also be formally appraised, and that appraisal price or value would then become the purchase price for the property. The budget allocation is that if this option agreement is approved tonight, the city will pay $1 and it's been a long time since I brought anything to you with that low of a cost on it. $1 from the water fund to Lupin Forest to secure the option to purchase the property, which again is about 3,445 acres. City would also pay half of the cost for the appraisal to be conducted sometime between now and a purchase. We expect that it's probably going to take between 2 and 4 years to complete this purchase. And at the time that a purchase was to proceed, there would be expenditures from the water fund or some other fund as might be directed by the city council. That it's staff's recommendation that the council move to authorize the execution of an option agreement with Lupin Forest LLC for the purchase of approximately 3,445 acres of real property located with and near the drainage of the Dallas Municipal Watershed.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Anderson?
I have a couple.
Counselor Richardson.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for bringing this forward. Can you speak briefly? Well, let me start with, let's confirm my math here. It's about 3,400 acres at a price to the city of estimated price of about 675,000. So that's something like $200 an acre.
Would be our portion of the purchase price.
Right. That's essentially matched to if the grant funding is successful.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great deal. So I support that. Can you speak briefly to whether there are any benefits to us controlling that chunk of land in the watershed?
Yeah, certainly. So the city already owns somewhat over 5,000 acres within the municipal watershed. The purpose of owning it is to protect water quality. With ownership of the land, we can control what happens on that land, how it's managed. When timber harvests occur in the future, and these would be well into the future because this land has much of it burned in the 2013 government flats fire. The rest of it, the previous owner logged before selling it to Lupin Forest. So they pretty much pulled that value off land and then they replanted it before selling it. So it'll be a long time before there's a timber sale. But when timber sales do occur, we have control over how they occur. And traditionally, the city has used selective harvest techniques where we only remove a portion of the trees within a stand. And it normally takes us about 3 entries to turn over a stand rather than using clear cut harvest methods, which can create the potential for more adverse impacts to water quality, runoff, and some things like that. We control whether herbicides are used on our own land or not. And if herbicides aren't used on it, then we don't need to test for them. And we don't have to worry about them being in the drinking water supply. We have historically closed the watershed properties to public entry other than on a permitted basis. And the reason for that is it greatly reduces the potential for illegal dumping that can occur within watersheds. And it also, in our area in the Pacific Northwest, the predominant cause of forest fires or waterland fires are human caused. If we restrict access, we go a long ways towards reducing that potential. And we've had big fires in the watershed, 1967 Schoolmarm Fire, 2013 Government Flats Fire. Both of them are lightning fires. But we don't have the human caused fires. The last reason related to land management, we control whether things like grazing happen on the ground, land or not. Historically, these very properties were grazed. And the cattle themselves, even though this property doesn't come right down to the creek, it does have intermittent streams that drain off of it, and the potential of having cattle on affecting the water quality and potential for pathogens is a real concern for water utilities. So those are the reasons that we have historically sought to acquire private properties within the watershed as they become available. This is the last significantly sized privately owned parcel within the watershed. If we are able to acquire the ownership of this piece, pretty much be us and the Forest Service. And the Forest Service already has, a lot of restrictions, and we have cooperative agreements with the Forest Service to also manage in a way that protects water quality.
Thanks. I have some other points and questions, but
Sure.
maybe when we get a little closer to actually purchasing the land, we could talk about and get a little bit more in depth on maintenance, forest management, and that sort of thing. Thanks, Dave.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, looking for a motion.
I guess I will go do that. Mayor Mays move to authorize the execution of an option agreement with Lupine Forest LLC for the purchase of approximately 3,445 acres of real property located within and near the drainage of the Dalles Municipal Watershed.
Is there a second?
I will second that, Mr. Mayor.
Been moved by Counselor McLaughlin and seconded by Counselor Richardson to authorize the execution of this option agreement. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 4 to
Thank you.
nothing. Thank you very much. This. Next on the agenda is insurance renewal, Mr. Daniel Hunter and Brianna Wimber, our insurance executive.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. City Council once a year goes through this process of reviewing and considering renewal of our insurance, and that's for city county insurance services for general liability, property, and auto, as well as safe for workers' compensation insurance. And then lastly, but not least, renewing the contract with our agent of record, Stratton Insurance, and our agent, Brianna Wimmer. For you have my staff report, and I guess between the two of us, we'll do our best to answer any questions you have, but it's pretty straightforward as it is just about every year. Each year we look at ways that we might be able to curb any increases in costs. And the last few years, we've basically taken measures to do about as much as we're comfortable doing. And that includes increasing our deductibles and removing insurance from anything that really doesn't make sense to have insurance on. If the deductible is at such a high level, it may make more sense to just pay cash for something if it gets damaged. And with that,
Ms. Wimber, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, if I could, thank you for having me tonight, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. I'll just give you just a brief summary. Traditionally, each year you have seen me for just your safe workers compensation renewals, and I've given reports on that. So I just want to assure you that your safe workers compensation is trending well once again. You are trending below a 1.0 mod factor, which is great. So it has ebbed and flowed a little bit over the years, as we can expect, but it's still trending very well. So your workers' compensation premiums are very, very favorable for City of the Dalles and the great work that Daniel spoke about. This is my first year presenting to you guys your CIS renewal. And I have worked the last year diving deep within each of the departments, as Daniel indicated, looking for ways to not only save money, but to make sure that the CIS insurance package that you do purchase is working well for City of the Dalles. One of our first orders of business was to dive deep into the realms of cybersecurity and cyber insurance. And so we did a big deep dive into that world and explored things that maybe hadn't been explored in a while. And that was a really positive experience. We got a lot of movement going and were able to purchase outside cyber this year for City of the Dalles. The other thing that is a little bit different on your CIS package this year than in years past is we took a look at what your liability rate was under your general liability section. City of the Dalles was historically performing with a $5 million liability cap. And I brought that to the attention of your management and city leadership, and that was increased from last year being a 5 million per occurrence, 15 aggregate, to now this year being a 10 million per occurrence, 30 million aggregate. So what that means is now the city liability is performing at $10 million per occurrence, which means that just that per occurrence, and then 30 million aggregate, meaning aggregate for the entire policy term. So we made that that very significant change to the insurance package this year through discussions. Other than that, we're open for questions.
Could you discuss the need for increasing our liability limits?
Sure. So the reason why we discussed increasing the liability limits is one of the things that we talk about a lot with general liability in cities and counties is social inflations. And when you watch the news and you watch what people are suing each other for and winning judgments against, you rarely hear the judgments being $1 to $2 million anymore. When you hear about people winning judgments against cities and counties, they are raising up into the tens of millions of dollars. Now, the Oregon Tort Claims Liability does have a cap that does help curtail some of that higher liability. But the difference between purchasing the 5 million that you were performing at with the $15 million aggregate and the 30 million aggregate was $14,000. And my belief is if you got sued for $30 million and you purchased 15, you would really kick yourself that you hadn't purchased $14,000 worth of coverage to make that $15 million gap. I truly feel that having that liability raised up with the social inflation that we have going on and the climate of litigation, that was a proper move.
So it has a lot less to do with our personal experience and more to do with what's going on out in the world.
Correct. Yeah. If you look at, like if you bring it down to a personal liability standard, I think Oregon's like automobile minimum standard for insurance is $25,000. Now, if we were to get into an accident, there are not a lot of cars that you can replace anymore for $25,000. But that's what the state says that you can operate at, to operate an automobile, but people purchase above and beyond that to protect their overall assets. So what this is really doing is taking a look at the climate, taking a look at what judgments are coming down for, and protecting the overall goose egg in that manner. So.
Anybody else? Any other questions for Mr. Hunter or Ms. Wimber? Okay, looking for a motion.
I will make it as soon as I find the language.
Page 42.
Here we go. Mr. Mayor and et al., I move to approve the city insurance renewal with CIS for general liability, property, and auto in an amount not to exceed $576,701.86, and to renew the city workers' compensation insurance with SAFE for an amount not to exceed $94,801.30 for fiscal year 23-24, and to continue the city's partnership with Stratton Insurance as our agent of record.
Is there a second?
McLaughlin will second.
Moved by Council Richardson and seconded by Council McLaughlin to approve the city insurance renewal with CIS and city workers' compensation insurance with SAFE and continue the city's partnership with Stratton Insurance. Is there any discussion anymore or any questions? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just say, I just want to say thank you and express my gratitude to Brianna for working with us over the last year. Thank the management team for supporting in the effort to do this deep dive and comprehensive effort to review what we currently have on the books and make these recommendations. So thank you for your efforts.
Okay, item 10C, I'll turn it over to our city manager. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 10C was a supplemental added, resolution number 23-021. And we are looking for your approval tonight on this item. This is in response to some of the extreme weather conditions that we've been encountering. The council's familiar with this type of item as we've passed a similar resolution in recent years, looking to ban the use of fireworks within the city limits, not the sale, drawing that distinction between them. You'll see in some of the preambles here that Wasco County has imposed a burn ban, as well as a similar state of emergency to exist throughout all of Wasco County as a result of the severe drought conditions. So this is very similar to what we did last year. It's a little later than last year, but we look at the weather conditions that we have, the drought conditions that we have, looking at information that we received from the Emergency Operations Center, as well as recommendations from Wasco County and some of our area partners. In addition to considering this item for action this evening, I'd also be interested in receiving some feedback from the council on considering this for future years as a standing order, not something that we ban on a year-to-year basis. There are several different groups that do sell fireworks in our community, and received some feedback from them that when we do have a ban, and it's this late in the year, that they do receive some negative impact from it, because sales of those fireworks, as one can expect, may go down because of the ban itself. And so we're looking at this through a lens of community and public safety, and having weather conditions that are outside of our control. We're reacting to them just as expeditiously as we can to put these bans in place to protect the community. But over the last few years, it's been more and more consistent. And so in addition to this resolution or afterwards, if there's any discussion or feedback from the council moving forward, I'd very much appreciate that. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
If we were interested in something more permanent, are you recommending we still pass this tonight and then you would bring back something else that would be more, I don't want to say permanent, but more long lasting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I step in for just a moment?
Yes, sir. Mr.
Thank you. And just wanted to mention that Oregon law applies even in the adoption of an emergency resolution, and prescribes that although this is not a public hearing, the city is imposing a fine associated with this resolution. And so because there is a new fine, best practices would suggest that the mayor would offer an opportunity for the public to provide any comments on this fine and the way it's calculated.
I was going to do that as soon as the council asks questions. So anybody on the city council have any questions or comments?
I've one of each briefly.
Please.
Thank you. With regard to comment, I keep a bit of an eye on wildfires in the area just as part of my day job. And over the last 10 years, our weather has certainly gotten more erratic. And the fire season has tended to start earlier and be more intense. So it's a real change on the ground that we're experiencing. So that's my comment. My question is to staff, to Manager Klebs or whomever appropriate. Were there any particular insights or experiences from last year's ban you think would be useful to tell us about? Any unforeseen problems or effects, good or bad? Is there anything else that we should have in mind besides what's in the resolution?
Well, one of the only things that comes to my mind off the cuff, and I hate to put the chief of police on the spot, but I'm going to do it anyways, is that it is a challenging ban to enforce.
Yeah.
So that is one dynamic with banning fireworks from within the city limits. There's a number of other duties and events that occur in a given night. And so response time to a particular report about fireworks can sometimes be challenging. But if the chief would like to make a comment on that front, I'd welcome him to the podium.
Sure. Thank you, City Manager Klebs, Mayor, and rest of the City Council. Last year, our experience with a fireworks ban here in the city also was that, the 4th of July is an extremely busy night for us, not simply because of fires and fireworks, but all the partying and drinking and other things that go along with it. So last year, we were definitely running call to call. Compliance was really pretty good. I think it was well known and understood that it was a hazard and that the city and county had both passed these ordinances prohibiting the use of fireworks. And that's not to say that it was 100% compliance, but it was pretty good from my experience. And I don't think we wound up making any cases. We did some community policing, passed on some warnings, and sought some voluntary compliance. And generally, when that's brought up to people, they were most willing to comply. And so I think it was a successful implementation last year. It's something that we could do again this year if you so choose.
Any questions for the chief? I believe this will be at least the third year that we've done this, if this does pass, at least 3 years. So
In a row.
in a row, yeah. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I have a question about the sale of fireworks in Oregon. Isn't there like a set time? Like, is this the only time of year? So if you want them for New Year's or something, they would buy them now? Or how does it work?
I have secondhand information. I haven't refreshed my memory with any of the state laws specifically. But I spoke with a vendor for fireworks today, and they reported that you can really only use them around 4th of July and New Year's.
Okay. But they don't sell during New Year's, or can they?
They can. I
cold.
don't know the specific. I don't know the answer to that. And that would be also guidance that could be given to council moving forward. And staff can do some research and bring that back with a more ongoing ban on the use of fireworks.
Yeah, that's the only time it would apply, I think. Thank you.
Okay, would the council like to think about the request from the city manager to think about again, I hate to use the word permanent, but at least a more long-lasting ordinance. If you don't have any comments tonight, please get back to him with your thoughts in the near future. Councilor McLaughlin?
Well, I have a comment, but first, I support the ban for this year because it aligns with Wasco County ban. correct? Also, the city sponsors a firework display. So we have a community gathering and people can see the fireworks and the drying conditions that drives my decision for this year. However, I'd still like to reserve the right if weather patterns were to change and it was cooler and wetter for 4th of July. I think I would rather have a chance to have a vote, next year. That's my own preferences. But that's my feelings.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, at this point, if there's anybody in the audience who would like to address the city council for up to 5 minutes, please come forward, state your name and address. Anybody? Mr. Nichols?
Roger Nichols, 1617 Oregon Street. It's more a question of clarification. Did I understand the city manager to say that fireworks sales will be allowed, but not use?
Correct. So the ban, the resolution that was passed last year, for example, and what's under consideration tonight is that the use of fireworks is prohibited within the city limits.
Why are we
Sales-
allowing the sales then? What's going to happen to the fireworks if they can't use them?
You can use them at another point during the year when the fire risk is not as high.
Okay. Thank you.
New Year's is the time that I've been told.
Okay.
A lot of people buy them during the summer, during 4th of July, and they'll use them during that
Okay,
time.
that helps. I'd also, just as a personal, though it sounds a little hypocritical to ban the use of everybody but the city to use the fireworks. This sounds a little weird. Thanks.
Or not, the city isn't doing the fireworks. It's a
paying for it.
it's a nonprofit. Yeah, we do contribute financially. Did you want to say something?
Just in fairness, just to indulge Mr. Nichols, I understand that commercial display has been regulated top to bottom by the Oregon State Fire Marshal, who has a tremendous amount of oversight and involvement. I also understand that it takes place on a barge in the middle of the Columbia. And so there are a number of ways to distinguish that from using fireworks within the city limits, I think. Just some thoughtful consideration for you. Yep.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I talk about anything? In regards to what you're talking about.
It has to be on the agenda, which is what we're talking about right now. You had an opportunity before.
Yeah,
to-
I got a notice at like 5 o'clock.
Oh, would you like to come back in 2 weeks and address the council then? Why don't you do that?
And I'd like to see all that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I'm looking for a motion on the resolution.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor, and I'll say I'm not.
There's no language, but
Do it without.
Ad lib.
I don't.
Yeah, thank you. I move that we pass this resolution declaring a state of emergency in the city of the Dalles as a result of extreme weather conditions and restrict the use of fireworks. That is to ban the use of fireworks within city limits now until September 30th of this year.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Counselor Richardson and seconded by Counselor Long to adopt the resolution declaring a state of emergency.
So just a quick discussion.
Discussion. Yeah.
Do we, I'm asking this to our attorney, Jonathan Cara. Do we need to say the resolution number in this motion, or is it okay the way it's presented?
That's a great question, Councilor Long. Typically, it would just be, it would always be best practices to indicate specifically by number, which is, part of the reason why we number them, to remove any ambiguities associated with whether a motion accurately captures the intent of the city. And so, as I listened to Councilor Richardson's motion, I was left wanting a resolution number. I'm just going to
Same here.
And but the motion's been made and seconded, and so this is part of the discussion concerning that motion. Is it the end of the world if this motion passes? No, I think no one could reasonably articulate that what he just made was a motion, anything other than a motion to approve this resolution. But why guess for the future?
Point of order, can we just amend this motion?
Well, he can if he wants to.
I'm happy to amend the motion, and I will just say for the record that the bar that this is not the end of the world is a rather high one. Let us go for clarity and transparency and good government. How do we amend a motion properly?
I would honestly, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I would candidly, if you were asking me, Councilor Richardson, I would just have this vote fail and then to remake the motion.
Isaiah, do you have a thought?
You made the motion, you can amend the motion. Technically, Jonathan isn't completely wrong because it was seconded. So either way, though, it would work in this situation because of the discussion happening. It's the exact same motion, you're just adding to it.
Mayor Mays and everyone assembled, I would like to withdraw the original motion and make a new one.
Please.
There's no objection. I move that we pass resolution number 23-021, a resolution declaring a state of emergency in the city of the Dalles as a result of extreme weather conditions and restrict, that is to ban the use of fireworks immediately now through September 30th of this year.
I'll second
Councilor
that.
Long, okay, I was going to say, I'm sure you
Jump
still
right
want to second the motion. Okay, any other discussion?
Briefly, Mr.
Councilor
Mayor, I
Richardson.
just want to note that I don't think any of us are necessarily happy about, telling people not to do things. But this is an important one. I hope that our fellow residents hear it and abide by it. This is not a good time to be lighting off fireworks willy-nilly, and that we had a pretty serious fire just last week, I guess it was. It came very close to, in my read of the situation, came very close to being a bit of a disaster for a lot of people, and it was narrowly averted. So I take that to heart. I think we need to be mindful and ask our fellow residents to be mindful.
Well put. Okay, any more discussion or questions? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the emergency resolution 23-021. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you all very much. Before we adjourn, I'd like to thank Amy and Izetta for all the work you did to get those medallions and certificates of recognition together for tonight. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate that very much. And Mr. Chandler, could you come up after the meeting? We want to have a question for you, okay? Scott, Councilor Randall, you have anything else you'd like to bring up?
No, can you hear me?
You're still
Yeah.
can't hear you?
Just use sign language.
Yeah, I'm good.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. Okay, with that, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've written enough motions and